Hello everyone, very good afternoon. So I hope you all are enjoying this historical quarantine, historical lockdown and this pandemic of our country. So this video is particularly for the people who are appearing in this prelims 2020. And this video is all about the government schemes. And in this particular class, in this particular video, I'm going to discuss only the schemes which are relevant for prelims 2020. And those schemes are from Ministry of HRD, that is Education. So I'm going to discuss only the Ministry of HRD schemes. And depending on the response, I will switch to the other schemes and all. So please be in the class and I will discuss one by one all the schemes. So one point that I would like to clear here that in any of the ministry, means you pick any ministry, then you'll find that there are multiple schemes, there are many schemes. But we are going to discuss only those schemes which are relevant from UPSC point of view, that is relevant from PD 2020. And so I'm not going to discuss any scheme in a very depth level, but I will just discuss only those points which are important from the examination point of view. Okay, so I'm just moving ahead. So let us first discuss the legal status of education in India. So what is the legal status of education in India? So in India, education is basically a fundamental right, but it is fundamental right only for the people who are between 6 to 14 years of age, fine. And this was inserted by 86th Constitutional Amendment Act. And this right to this education, it inserted a fundamental right, that is Article 21A. Now, right to education has also been mentioned. Not right to education means the constitutional provision of education has also been mentioned in directive principles of state policy, also in the fundamental duties. As far as the power of state and center is concerned, then education is in concurrent list. It was not earlier in concurrent list, but by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, now education is in concurrent list. So we are now going to discuss all the schemes one by one. This is Paramarsh scheme, Paramarsh. Now, what is the meaning of Paramarsh? So the meaning of Paramarsh is very clear. The meaning of Paramarsh is to advise someone, to give a kind of suggestion someone. So Ministry of HRD has come with a scheme, that is Ministry of this Paramarsh scheme, and which will implement this scheme. University Grant Commission is going to implement this scheme. Now this scheme is very, very simple and again very relevant scheme. So this scheme is based on hub and spoke model. What is hub and spoke model? Say this is hub and these are spokes. So I told you that the meaning of Paramarsh is Salah. So in Paramarsh institute, a university, a college, which is a very class college, say for example IIT Delhi is a very class college, then IIT Delhi will be in this hub, and IIT Delhi will act as a mentor to these institutes, colleges around IIT Delhi. That means this IIT Delhi will, IIT Mumbai or IIT Delhi, whatever we say, they will work like a mentor, like a guide, like a teacher, like a friend, philosopher, guide in mentorship of these education institutes. Now, mentorship means it will mentor on the things like faculty recruitment, curriculum, research, student interaction, etc. Fine. In the starting, we have 71 universities and 391 colleges have been picked up by this UGC to act as a mentorship in this mentorship program. And these institutes are of class institutes because all of them are having the NAC score of 3.26 plus. Fine. Now, along with Paramarsh, there is one more scheme that is called Diksha Aram. So Diksha Aram is also a scheme. And now let me explain you Diksha Aram. What is Diksha Aram? So Diksha means, you might be knowing what is Diksha. Diksha means a kind of initial counseling. So say there is a person like Mr. A, and Mr. A has got admission in a college of DU. Now, when he has got admission in College of DU and when the class is actually going to start, so there is a gap between that admission and actual start of class. So between that gap, UGC is going to hold a program in which those students who have got admission in the DU in that particular college, they will be given some sort of counseling and all, in which they can become very, very familiar with the college in which they are going to start their course. Okay. So now, what is the this objective of this Paramarsh scheme? So the first objective is to improve the global ranking of Indian higher education institutes. You might be knowing that Indian universities, colleges, they are not very much, they are not having very good rank, and so this Paramarsh scheme will aim in improving the global ranking. And in this scheme, there is also a scheme of there is also provision of financial assistance, and in this provision of financial assistance, there will be a mentor. Fine. What is the meaning of mentor? I told you that a particular college will act as a mentor. Then in that particular college, IIT Mumbai or IIT Delhi, there will be a professor, and that professor will act as a key point, as a one point contact by other institutes, and he will be paid 31,000 per month for that. That's all in this Paramarsh scheme. So now we'll move to the next scheme. The next scheme is Pradhan Mantri Gramin Digital Saksharta Abhiyan. So the word is digital here. So I should not explain it much because we all know that digital world is very important, and the government is aggressively pushing digital India. So in this digital India, it is very important that our rural population who actually is at the need of this time. For example, take the example of this COVID-19. So in COVID-19, government is pushing many digital initiatives. Like for example, government has transferred 500 rupees to the rural people. And if rural people, they are not comfortable in this digital world and all, then chances are there that they will attract or witness some kind of fraud in that. And that is why government has decided that government is going to give digital teaching, digital capacity building to the rural people, and this will work under Digital India. And the vision of Digital India is to transform India into a digitally empowered society and knowledge economy. Fine. So digital empowerment of citizens is very important. Why? Because if a citizen is digitally empowered, then uh, he can utilize the government schemes. Fine. He knows his rights and all. Whenever something is required, some government initiative is required, he act like an activist and all. Fine. So in this Pradhan Mantri Gram Digital Saksharta Abhiyan, there's a target to make 6 crore person in the rural India digitally literate. Now, one more thing you should notice here that the target will be that there should be at least one member from each family. Fine. So for example, if a family is there and say there are 5 members, then this scheme will digitally empower, digitally teach one member at least in that family. Fine. Now, the objective of this scheme is to bridge the digital divide. You might be knowing that there is a digital divide. What is the meaning of digital divide? So, some section of population, they are tech savvy. They know very much about the technology, but we have another section which is very weak in this technology. For example, scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, then people who are in below poverty line, minorities, women, especially this differently abled people, they are not very much digitally empowered. So this scheme will target to bridge this kind of digital divide. Now, one fact that has to be noticed in this scheme is that the scheme will give priority to the people who are not using smartphones. Fine. So, for example, Mr. A is there in a village and he's already having a smartphone. Then it is very easy to understand that if someone is having a smartphone, then he will naturally be a digitally known person. And so the target will be the people who are not using smartphones, non-smartphones. Again, Antodaya household, that means the people who are poorest in the poor. Then college dropouts. Why college dropouts? Because the people who are in college dropouts, they need some kind of employment alone and all, and by this digital knowledge they can search some kind of job, some employment in the village itself. And also the participants of this program will be from adult literacy mission. Now, what is adult literacy mission? In adult literacy mission, basically the government targets the adult population and not the kids and children and all. And so this section of this adult will also be targeted in this scheme. Okay. Overall supervision will be by Ministry of Electronics and IT, and active collaboration with the states and union territories. Fine. And the kind of training that will be given in this scheme is like how to send and receive mails, how to browse internet, how to access government services. Fine. For example, government nowadays has provided a lot of schemes like electronic agriculture marketing and all. So these people can at least know how to access these government schemes, and they can search for the information. Like for example, in this COVID-19, you might have seen that the migrant workers, they are expected to register themselves in some kind of online portal. Then at least they should know how exactly we should browse internet and all, and obviously for this cashless transactions. We'll move to the next scheme, that is PISA, fine, Program for International Students Assessment. Now, what is this program? So this program for international student assessment, This program is nothing but it's a kind of program which is an initiative of OECD, fine, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, which is basically a group of developed nation. So what this PISA program do, it basically it is a kind of evaluation mechanism. Now, what is the meaning of evaluation mechanism? It sets a standard international parameters, and basically it checks the students, and which students are within this preview of PISA. The students who are basically 15 years old, and this program will check in the parameters like reading, mathematics, and science. And this program is carried after every 3 years, and it was started in 2000. So India has participated in this program. India has participated only once, and India participated basically in 2009. What happened in 2009? India's ranking was very poor, and India got 72nd rank out of 73 countries. So you can see that this is a very pathetic ranking. Then what India did? India said that the kind of questions in which the PISA is asking, that is not contextual in context of India, and that is totally out of box question. Basically, India questions the kind of parameter which PISA was using, and India pulled out from this initiative mechanism. But now India knows that it is not a wise decision to pull out from any of the evaluation which is of international level, because say for example tomorrow India has to take a loan from World Bank, then India will have to show that what parameters are there in which India has performed very well. Also India has to take loan from say Bill Gates Foundation, then India will have to show there that the students of India, they are performing very well. And in all those performance, the most reliable result will only be which has some international connotation, fine. So India pulled out in 2009, but it is India has again decided that India will participate in PISA 2011. So India will participate again in PISA 2011 after a gap of almost 10 years, fine. In this PISA program that is going to be held in 2011, basically the people, approximately 1.7 lakhs students will sit there, and the students will be from Chandigarh and Navodaya Vidyalaya, Kendriya Vidyalaya, and they will take this test in 2021. That's all. And one more thing is that OECD this time it is promised that OECD is going to contextualize the questions for Indian students, fine. And in this 2021, more than 80 countries are going to take. Okay. So now we have SREAS scheme. So the full form of SREAS is scheme for higher education youth in apprenticeship and skill. So you must be knowing that in India it is very, very difficult to get any kind of industrial training, any kind of industrial interface in any of the industries. And so Ministry of Human Resource Development has come with an industry apprenticeship opportunities to general graduates. Now, what is the meaning of general graduates? So this scheme, SREAS scheme, is more focused on general students. That means the students who are doing BA, BCom, BSc, and not focusing on the students who are from technical backgrounds like BTech, MBBS, or law. Because you might be knowing that the people from technical background, they already get this kind of opportunities, but the people from arts background, they lack any kind of apprenticeship, and so the government has come with this SREAS scheme. So this SREAS scheme will go through this program, that is National Apprenticeship Promotional Scheme, fine. And it will be initiative of 3 ministries. So UPSC might ask this question, so please notice this, that it is an initiative of 3 central scheme, namely Ministry of Human Resource, Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, and Ministry of Labor. Again, I told you that this scheme will target students in degree courses, primarily non-technical. And one of the target about this SREAS scheme will be that the government will focus on getting the employment. That means, say the government has provided this kind of apprenticeship to 100 students. Then the target of the government will be that out of those 100 students who have got this industrial training, at least 10% of the students should get employment in any industry. Fine. So this is a very important point. Now, again, what is the role of central government? So central government will also bear some kind of financial expenditure. So central government will bear 25% stipend per month. Fine. Now, what is the meaning of 25% stipend? Say, for example, a company is giving you 10,000 of a stipend per month. Then in 10,000, 25%, that is 2,500 will be paid by the central government. but central government has put a cap of 1500 per month. That means central government will not give you 2500. Central government will only give you 1500, and rest 8500 will be borne by the industry. Fine. And apart from that, the central government will also bear 7500 rupees towards basic training cost. जहां भी training cost की जरूरत हो वहां पर central government that will bear rupees 7500. Okay. Now this again, this scheme is called Dhruv scheme, and the elaborated form is Pradhan Mantri Innovative Learning Program. So again, this scheme is of Ministry of Develop HRD. Now, what is this scheme? This scheme is all about, in this scheme, the children, the gifted children, the children who are talented enough, those children will be allowed to be mentored and nurtured by renowned experts. That means the experts who have got some kind of research, the experts who are scientists in ISRO and all, they will basically mentor some talented children. And why this Dhruv? This Dhruv is about the name of a pole star, the name of pole star, fine. And this scheme has been launched from ISRO. Now, why this ISRO? So I told you that in this scheme, the Ministry of HRD has basically launched this scheme in which the talented children will be interacted and they will be mentored by top technical experts. Now, since these technical experts are from ISRO, from DRDO, and from some biotechnical institutes of India, so Government of India, the Ministry of HRD, has first time launched this scheme from ISRO. Okay. This will be a 14 days learning program, and in this 40 days learning program, 60 students, and the students from class 9 to 12, they will be mentored and nurtured by experts in the field. And it basically now, as of today, it covers two areas, and science and arts. Fine. And in future it will naturally grow to develop other areas like creative writing. It might reach to social field, legal field, etc. So this scheme is Vidyanjali scheme. So Vidyanjali scheme is a very simple scheme, and again it's a very popular scheme. So you students, you might have thought somewhere in your life that once you are preparing for UPSC, or once you have got some kind of knowledge, then you should uh, expand your knowledge and you should give something back to the society. So basically Vidyanjali scheme is a kind of, you might have heard about Teach India program. Fine. Teach India program is an initiative of Times of India, in which college students, NGO workers, and retired officers, they can basically contribute in teaching the people who actually need the education. So in this Vidyanjali scheme, the volunteers like NRI, retired teachers, professors, government officials, defense personnel, professional, etc., they will enroll themselves in a portal and they will say that we are ready to teach students free of cost. And then government will act as a kind of facilitator, and government will draw these experts, these volunteers, to give the education to the needy people. Okay. Now, NEET scheme, National Education Alliance for Technology. So this scheme is very, very innovative scheme. And in this scheme, basically, this scheme is for online learning. So in COVID-19, you might have seen that there are now we can see a lot of coaching institutes are there in UPSC also who are giving online education, education on Zoom TV, Zoom channel, and then education on live streaming and all. So this initiative is basically for this online learning only. And I will give you an example of edX. So if you have heard about edX, then edX is something. edX is nothing but edX is an edutech company. And this edX, how it work? Like for example, if you will go to the website of edX, then they will give you various courses. Fine. Like they will give you courses of Harvard in business, in science, in technology. In fact, one of the courses in Harvard online is very popular among UPSC aspirants. That is called Justice. Fine. So edX will give you some courses in free, and then they will give you some courses by paying. Fine. So in this scheme, NEET scheme, what Government of India is going, Government of India will start an open tendering process, and they will call edutech companies. So the companies which are very, very popular, edutech companies, for example, Beju is a company, Unacademy is a company which are very popular. They will call this company, and company will start running a portal, start running a kind of online streaming, online learning. Fine. And the national NEET platform would be created. A national NEET platform will be created, and in this platform anyone can access the education. Now the question is there, what about the finance? What about, because obviously this scheme is going to be very expensive. So what government has done, these edutech companies which will be selected by the government, they will be free to charge fees as per their policy. means the courses will not be free. Courses will be free, but all the courses will not be free. They will be free to charge their fees. 25% of the total registration. That means if 100 students have enrolled in this portal, then at least 25% of the people will have to offer free education. So just like I gave you the example of edX, in that some courses are free and some courses are paid. Now, what is the role of Ministry of HRD? Ministry of HRD will just act like a facilitator. That means Ministry of HRD will provide a kind of national platform, a recognized platform to that edutech company, so that large number of students throughout the country, they can make interface with that company. Fine. Now, independent experts committee will be there, which will basically evaluate in selecting of adequate solutions. For example, if government will float a tender, then naturally thousands and companies will apply for that this scheme. Then government will establish a independent committee, and that independent committee will basically evaluate and select the edutech solution. Fine. And this AICT, All India Council for Technical Education, under Ministry of HRD, will be the implementing agency. Now we have NISTHA scheme. NISTHA scheme, National Initiative for School Heads and Teachers Holistic Advancement, NISTHA. Fine. So what is NISTHA scheme? Again, the name is very clear. NISTHA scheme will basically help the teachers. Now, why I have quoted here Socrates? So if you hear Socrates, so you might have heard Socrates in your ethics paper. So Socrates basically says that the work of a teacher, the job of a teacher, is not to give knowledge, but the work of a teacher is to infuse a kind of critical thinking in the students, so that students can think themselves and students can themselves find the solution. So this NISTHA scheme is there to motivate and equip teachers to encourage and foster critical thinking in students. So in this scheme, the teacher will infuse critical thinking in students, and the student will act as a kind of first level counselor. That means whenever a student will face any problem, he will face problem in career guidance, he will face problem in some kind of uh, say the problems in the life and all, some social tension and all, then the teacher will act as a first level counselor. Fine. And who will be the beneficiary of this scheme, NISTHA scheme? All the teachers head of the schools at the elementary level in the government schools, faculty members in the state councils of education research and training, district institutes for education training research, as well as block resource coordinators. These all are beneficiary of this scheme. There are so many activities in this scheme, like educational games will be there, then social emotional learning is there, motivational interaction, team building, preparation for school based assessment, online monitoring and support system is there. One more good thing about this scheme is that there is a mobile app, Moodle. And what this mobile app will do, this app will be a kind of resource content. They will provide digital content and technology enabled teaching methods to support the teacher. Fine. For example, in this online content, the teachers will find all the resources which they require to become a teacher who can infuse critical thinking in the students. The online resources like games and these all. Fine. And this is going to benefit 42 lakhs teacher across the country. That's all. So now we will discuss this STRIDE scheme. What is the STRIDE scheme? So let us see the full form of STRIDE scheme. So STRIDE scheme means a scheme for transdisciplinary for research for India's development economy. Now you see here, what is the meaning of research? So you might have heard, for example, you all are UPSC aspirant, and in your study of humanity, you might have seen that many times there will be quote of some kind of research that so and so professor said so. For example, the research on caste by Rajni Kothari is exceptionally popular. So UGC basically want the people who are in colleges to go for research. What kind of research? Those research we can basically help in development of India's economy. So many research are required, like research on caste system, research on how to bring the tribals in mainstream society, research on how to move for national integration, and many kind of social research are required. So, and nowadays government is moving with innovative schemes like Atal Innovation Mission is basically a mission which wants to make India a knowledge economy. And during Manmohan Singh also there was a commission that is called Knowledge Commission was there under Sam Petroda, which was also there to bring research and all to deal with the India's development economy. Fine. So in this scheme there will be identification of young talent, there will be push on research culture, there will be capacity building, promotion of innovation in transdisciplinary research relevant to national development and to enhance the overall well-being of the society. Fine. Now, the areas under this research, STRIDE research will be the areas in humanities, human science through multi-institutional network. Now, what is the financial allocation? During under this STRIDE scheme, there will be 1 crore for one higher education institution and up to 5 crore for a multi-institutional framework. Fine. For example, there might be many institutes who will come together. Say, for example, JNU and DU, they come together to find a kind of innovation. Then, in that case, rupees 5 crore will be allotted and 1 crore will be allotted for one higher education institution. Now we have this scheme that is called Samagra Shiksha. What is the meaning of Samagra? Samagra means complete. Samagra means integrated. So basically, this scheme is about an integrated scheme. This scheme is a complete package, a scheme which has almost everything in this, and that is why the word name is Samagra. Samagra means complete integration. And when we say integration, it will integrate your entire education. For example, right from the school, elementary school, higher education, and then middle education, everything will be integrated. And so this is a very, very big comprehensive package that is called Samagra Shiksha, an integrated scheme for school education. Now, this scheme is a very comprehensive scheme, and this is going to subsume 3 major schemes. What are the schemes? Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, then Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan, then centrally sponsored scheme on teacher education, and then these 3 schemes will be within this Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. So we will see what are these schemes, these 3 schemes we will study one by one. First, let us see what are the initiatives in Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. So as I told you that Samagra Shiksha means a complete package for education. And since they are talking about complete package of education, so they are talking about almost everything. In this initiative, there will be infrastructure development, then there will be gender and equity, inclusive education, that means taking into the fold of education the people from scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, then quality financial support will be given to the teacher, then digital initiative is there, right to education entitlement, uniform, textbook, vocational education, teacher education, almost everything will be there. Fine. And now focus will be on regional balance. So you might have seen that there is a lot of regional imbalance. For example, you cannot compare the schools in Delhi and then schools in some backward area of Bihar. So this initiative is going to focus on regional balance so that to bring all the districts at par with some kind of parallel parameters. Fine. So it will give focus to educationally backward blocks and left wing extremist districts. Fine. So those districts which are suffering from Naxalism and all, special focus districts, aspirational districts. Now there is one initiative in this Samagra Shiksha that is called Raksha. Raksha is nothing but Raksha is an initiative in which self-defense training will be given to the girls so that they can become psychologically, intellectually, and physically strong. Then I told you that Samagra Shiksha will take into this fold Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. So what is Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan? So what is the meaning of Sarv? Sarv means universal, Sarv means all. So Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, that means an education movement which is for all. And the tagline is education movement for all. Fine. So this Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan basically came into picture during 86th Constitutional Amendment Act, when education was made a fundamental right for the people from 6 to 14 years old with Article 21 in Indian Constitution. This program, Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, was basically launched by former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. And the focus of this scheme was to give education to everyone by 2010. But obviously, it couldn't achieve its target. And so since then, in every budget, we can see that Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan is going thoroughly. And still today also Government of India is following this scheme of Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. Fine. So I told you that the children between 6 to 11 years, 6 to 14 years of age will get education in this. Fine. And it is a flagship program. And again, Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan has many components like opening of new schools, constructions of toilet, Swachh Vidyalaya campaigning, separate toilets for boys and girls, etc. Now, sub-program under Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan also, since it's a very, very comprehensive program. So in this program, we have Padhe Bharat, then we have Rashtriya Avishkar Abhiyan, then you have Vidyanjali, then we have Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya. Now, what is Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya? Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya is a school that is exclusively for the girls and with a special focus on girls from scheduled tribes and scheduled caste. Fine. I've explained to you what is Vidyanjali. So let us focus on these 2 schemes, Padhe Bharat and Padhe Bharat and this Rashtriya Avishkar Abhiyan. So, Padhe Bharat, excuse me, just a minute. Okay, so Padhe Bharat scheme is a scheme within Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. And this scheme is nothing but you can see the tagline Padhe Bharat. Padhe means that means reading habit and language development is a focus of this area. And it has a special focus on improving the language development, fine, how to improve the language and create interest in mathematics, fine. So under this scheme only, there is an initiative called National Reading Initiative. So what is the focus of objective of National Reading Initiative? The focus is to develop the habit of reading among the students. You might have seen that students nowadays, they are not having a kind of reading habit. So students are more focused in completion of the syllabus that is school centric, and they are least concerned about habit. So this National Reading Initiative basically want to infuse the reading habit among the students. And within this National Reading Initiatives, there is a provision of annual library grant, so that library is there in all the schools, fine. And in this scheme, one thing you should notice here, because UPSC might ask this question, and in this scheme, focus of the children in class 1 and 2 is to improve the learning outcomes, that is the development of language, but reading initiative is up to class 8. We have Rashtriya Avishkar Abhiyan. So in the name itself, it is very clear what can be the meaning of Rashtriya Avishkar Abhiyan. So obviously it means a scheme in which there is a focus on technology learning, the learning of science, and it basically want to leverage the potential for science, mathematics, and technology learning in non-classroom settings, fine. So this is something which goes beyond classroom, fine, in which special training centers for school-going students are there for class 1 to 12, and this scheme is applicable for the people who are in the age group of 6 to 18. And in the scheme there will be mentoring, fine, mentoring by the students, by the institutes which are class in research like IITs, IIMs, fine, ISRO and all. And of course the main motive of this scheme is to promote scientific temper and inquiry, promoting the fund that which is there in fundamental duties and article 51A. So you might have seen in COVID-19 people are speaking a lot of rubbish and all, and so it is very important to infuse scientific temper in the people right from their school days, fine. We have a scheme that is called midday meal scheme. Again, midday meal scheme is exceptionally popular scheme. So you might have seen that in these days of COVID-19, government is also aggressively pushing midday meal, and midday meal is a scheme which has won many awards. And this scheme is the largest food giving program of entire world. Fine. So what is the objective of this scheme? To enhance enrollment. Fine, because students should come to the school to take food, and they should not be bothered about the food and all. And so the objective is to increase the enrollment, retention capacity. So the student, once they come to school, they should retain the school's attendance simultaneously, and improve nutritional level among the school going children. So nutritional level should also increase. And so in the diet of midday meal scheme, it is especially focused that the diet is having nutritional values. Fine. This is applicable for the students who are studying in class 1 to 8 in government schools, local bodies of school, special training centers, madrasa. Now, one thing I would clear here, that midday meal scheme is not for only the schools which are in a kind of institutional characteristic. For example, even in orphan centers, we can run this midday school. So it's purely discretion of the government, that is district collector. And midday meal scheme, in fact, it has been used many times in disasters also. It is a centrally sponsored scheme, and the cost of this midday meal scheme is shared between central government and state government. Central government basically provides free food grains to the states from this FCI, and then the cost of cooking, infrastructure development, transportation of food grains, payment to the cooks and helpers and all, they are beared by the state government. Now, midday meal has certain provision. For example, it has provision that the meal with at least 450 calories and 12 grams of proteins should be provided to every children in primary level, and 700 calories and 20 grams of protein should be provided to the children who are in upper primary school. Fine. In this, we also have a concept of Tithi Bhojan. So Tithi Bhojan is a very important and very innovative scheme. What happens in Tithi Bhojan scheme? Say for example, you are someone and you want to celebrate your birthday. So the government gives you an option that come to a school, and why not you celebrate your birthday with some poor students? Provide the party throw out good food to those students, and you gain happiness by that. Fine. So government has an option to Tithi Bhojan, so that the people are encouraged to celebrate their important birthdays and all by contributing to the midday meal scheme. And in this midday meal scheme, these institutions like jails, temples, gurudwaras, etc., are also involved. How they are involved? Say, for example, there is a gurudwara, and that gurudwara wants to throw a langar. The gurudwara want to run a langar. Then government will give them a provision that why don't you learn the langar in a school or besides a school, so that the student will also get the food and he will also fulfill the obligation of langar. We have Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan, so it's very clear. So I told you that Rashtriya Madhyamik, that means middle school. Middle school is will be focused here. That is secondary education, and to improve its quality. So quality of secondary education will be increased. Fine. And it has other targets like removing gender discrimination, remove and targeting socio-economic and disability barriers, providing universal access to the secondary education. Fine. And it has many provisions like to create additional classrooms. Fine. For example, in India we have schools in which the focus is more on elementary education, primary education. So for this madhyamik education you should create additional classrooms, then laboratories, toilet blocks, residential hostels should also be there, so that the students from the remote area, they can come to the schools and they can stay freely there. Fine. There is also a provision in this that there should be a establishment of a secondary school with a reasonable distance of 5 to 7 kilometers of habitation. So there was also a question in UPSC in ethics paper. In that question, the girls were facing some kinds of sexual harassment. So what would be your point of advice? So one point of advice to stop this sexual harassment is to make and establish schools in the nearby areas only. We have Rashtriya Uchchatar Shiksha Abhiyan. So what is the meaning of Uchchatar Shiksha Abhiyan? Obviously higher education. So this scheme basically targets higher education, and there is lot of provision like creation of infrastructure is there. Then autonomy should be provided to the state universities. You might have seen that the state suffers sometimes lot of political interference, and that basically hits the kind of quality of education. So the objective of this scheme is to provide autonomy to state universities and improving the governance institutions, correct the regional imbalance. You might have seen that the colleges are concentrated only in one area. For example, if you see the example of Madhya Pradesh, then in Madhya Pradesh, the colleges are concentrated of higher education in Bhopal cities, Indore cities, but other cities which are tribal belts, they are neglected. So one of the primary objective of this scheme is to rectify this regional imbalances in access to higher education. So now you can see that in many rural areas, now government is opening engineering colleges and medical colleges. Fine. And to create an enabling atmosphere in higher education to devote themselves to research and innovation. Fine. So research and innovation, it should also one of the provisions of Rashtriya Uchchatar Shiksha Abhiyan. Priority will be given to the aspirational districts. What is aspirational districts? Aspirational districts are those districts which are little backward in comparison to advanced districts, and those districts are identified by Niti Aayog. And what is the objective of identifying aspirational districts? So that those districts can be brought at par with the other advanced districts. Fine. Quality faculty will also be one of the. We have study in India. So study in India is also a famous scheme. So in COVID-19, you have seen that the people from US, they all are returning to India. And so this scheme will be particularly more relevant now, because the target of this scheme is to encourage the flow of inbound international students. That this scheme want the students should come to India and they should take the education in India itself rather than going to the foreign universities. And so it has target to make India a preferred education destination and hub for foreign students. So foreign students should also come to India. You might be knowing in ancient India, the institutes like Nalanda University, it used to attract a lot of foreign students. So the government wants to target foreign students to reduce the export-import imbalance. Fine. So export-import imbalance would also be in a kind of balanced situation, and also improve the global ranking of India as education destination. So I told you that the ranking of colleges in India, that's not very encouraging, and so government wants to target improving the global ranking and also to improve the soft power of India. So what is the soft power? So you must have seen that the students, they kind of they create soft power. So for example, when the student from US or UK, they come to India, then they gain a kind of soft power. They go back to their countries, and they create a kind of image of India and ideology of India, a very good and prestigious reputation of India, that work in creation of soft power. It's a joint initiative of Ministry of HRD, Ministry of External Affairs, and Ministry of Home Affairs, and also Ministry of Commerce. Right? It will be launched by ADCI. Fine, Awards said it is a mini Ratna companies, and this company is especially made for the people to implement the scheme of study in India. Excuse me, just a minute. Now this scheme is Udan scheme. So Udan scheme is also a very popular scheme, and Udan scheme basically targets the girls population. And you might have seen, many of you, the listener, are from engineering colleges, and you might be knowing that in engineering college the ratio of girls is very low. So basically, from this Udan scheme, government want to challenge this low enrollment ratio of girls in technical education institutes like the MBBS college, engineering college. And in this, the government will help the people, the girl, in their engineering entrance exam by providing some kind of financial package, some kind of financial assistance will be there, so that the girl can be trained in entrance examination. They will be trained in from some coaching institutes. So you might be knowing that there are many government schemes in Delhi, in Maharashtra also, and those government schemes basically provide financial assistance, stipends, and all to the people, so that they can prepare for some kind of competitive exam. So that is only the target of this scheme. This scheme, Technical Educational Quality Improve Program, TEQIP. So from the name itself, it's clear that this scheme basically first target technical educational. Fine. So for example, this will target engineering colleges and the colleges which provide diploma and all. And the target is to provide quality education. Now, how quality education will be provided? So let us see the target of this program. So the first target is that it will improve the quality of technical education in the low income states and especially category states. So the states, so it is a very known fact that in the colleges of Punjab, Maharashtra, and Karnataka, the people, the majority of people, they come from the states where we have very less engineering colleges, like Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Odisha, and all. And so the government wants to improve the quality of technical education in low income states and also special category states. Fine. So what will happen in this scheme? This scheme is a very peculiar scheme. Why? Because in this scheme, the graduates, the finest graduates from the premier colleges like IITs and IITs, they will be asked by the government to teach in engineering colleges in backward districts for a period of at least 3 years. Fine. So you might be knowing about the MBBS doctors. So there is a provision in MBBS doctors that you'll have to serve at least for a few years in starting in the rural area. So similarly, in this scheme, the finest professors from IITs and NITs, they will be asked to teach in engineering colleges in backward districts for at least 3 years. Right? It is a central government, central sector scheme, and the World Bank has provided assistance to this scheme. So this scheme is going for a very long period of time, and the term is of the scheme is of 10 to 12 years. And recently, the third phase of this scheme has started, and in this third phase, I told you that this scheme will target the colleges in low income states and especially special category states. So in the third phase, the scheme will target Northeast region and Hills state as its focus state. So Hill state, that means the colleges in Kashmir, the colleges in Uttarakhand, and the Northeast, they will be target of this scheme. And since quality has to be improved, so how the quality can be improved? The quality can be improved by improving the governance system, by improving the processes, by improving the digital initiatives, and securing obviously autonomy of the college. Other focus area will be to improve the quality of teacher training, equipment of classrooms, say revision, industry interaction. More and more industries will be allowed to go. For example, nowadays the industrial units, the multinational companies, they're reluctant to go to the colleges which are in hilly areas, northeast and all. In fact, in entire northeast, you will see that the name of only IIT Guwahati is famous. Other engineering colleges, they are not so famous. Fine. Then again, internship for students, training for students and all will be in the focus. So STARS scheme. So STARS scheme is nothing but a scheme for translation and advanced research in science. So this scheme is basically a scheme of Ministry of HRD in which the focus will be on advanced research. So advanced research means research will be on advanced things like nanotechnology will be the focus area, biotech will be the focus area. And since the scheme is for advanced study, research and all, and so the scheme has been given the budget of 250 crores, which is a huge amount. And in this scheme, 500 science projects will be funded, whose selection will be made based on the competition. Fine. So what will happen? This Indian Institute of Science, this will be a coordinating committee, and this will basically call all the universities and colleges for what kind of research they are going to do. And then 500 projects will be selected, and all those projects will be provided financial assistance by Government of India. Like the project should, the research will be under physics, chemistry, biological sciences, nanoscience, data science, mathematics, and earth sciences. Now, Operation Digital Board. So you all might be knowing what is Digital Board nowadays. Many coaching institutes are using Digital Board, but we have seen that the Digital Board is a very expensive game, and so only the coaching institutes or the colleges which are private, basically they are using Digital Board. So under this scheme, the government is going to provide Digital Board even to the government schools, the schools which are in rural areas. So the objective is to set up at least one digital and interactive board per classroom in the government and government-aided schools by 2022, and that these boards will be provided to the classes which are in class 9 onwards, and also in higher education institutes. University Grant Commission (UGC) will be the implementing agency for Operation Digital Board. Then we have Global Initiative for Academic Network. So GYAN is again a very important initiative of government. So from the wording, it is clear it's a kind of initiative in which academic networks will be there. Now, what is the meaning of academic networks? The college and institutes from India, they will create a kind of academic collaboration with the foreign institutes, and in this collaboration they will be provided autonomy. Now what kind of collaboration will be there? So collaboration will be there, like there will be sharing of knowledge between there will be sharing of knowledge, then exchange of faculty, exchange of students, some exchange of short courses, and all will be there. And all these courses will be provided through SWAYAM initiative. We will see what is SWAYAM initiative in our next slide. SWAYAM initiative is nothing. SWAYAM initiative, what is the meaning of SWAYAM? SWAYAM means self. So you can study SWAYAM, you can study yourself. So you might be knowing new people, for example, you're watching this video. So this video is absolutely free to you. So you can watch this video yourself without taking the help of financial assistance or without taking the help of any coaching institutes. So the government is aiming to bridge the digital divide, which are there in the students, fine. So the students who are not touched by the digital revolution, those students will be targeted. For example, you people, you might be preparing for your option subjects, political science, sociology, and you just try this, and you go to Google or YouTube, and you try to find some philosophies which are very comprehensive, like Marxism, communism. Then you will find some kind of videos which are from professors of JNU, DU, and those videos are very, very classy videos. So the government wants this digital revolution to reach to everyone, so that a student can learn right sitting from their home. So this will be applicable for the students who are in class 9 till post graduation, and the videos can be accessed by anyone, anywhere, anytime, free of cost. There will be a Swayamprabha initiative. Now Swayamprabha initiative is nothing but it's an initiative in which there will be a channel through which the people can watch free videos and all. So the next scheme is imparting research, innovation, and technology, Imprint 2. So Imprint 2 is nothing but Imprint 2 is again a kind of research innovation. So the focus is research. Why Imprint 2? Imprint 2 is because the government has recently started Imprint 2.0, and it will be basically a second phase of this scheme. And this is nothing but this is a kind of roadmap to for research, higher kind of research, to solve major engineering and technology challenge. For example, our country is facing many kind of technology challenge, like challenges climate, then the drought. COVID-19 is also a classic example. We are facing a lot of challenges. So basically, Imprint will go for research and all to resolve all these challenges, like healthcare technology, nanotechnology, advanced resource, sustainable development, etc. And this is a joint initiative by Indian Institute of Science and Indian Institute of Technology. Fine. Now, Vidya Saksharta Abhiyan, Visakha, this is again, you might have seen the ad of this scheme. Fine, this scheme is nothing but you people might be knowing that the colleges, the universities, they are like a town. Fine, where whenever you visit any kind of university, you visit IIT Delhi or you visit JNU, then you'll find that you feel as if you have entered in a kind of different city, in a kind of different township. So basically, Vidya Saksharta Abhiyan is an initiative of government to make the campus cashless. Fine. So there will be encouragement to create awareness and motivate the people to use digitally enabled cashless economic system for transfer of fund. So for example, colleges take your fees, then again you purchase stationaries and all from the college campus. So the target and the objective is to make the campus cash free. Fine. So cashless is the objective, and appeal to the faculty of the higher institutions to make their respective campus cashless. There will be awareness program to the shopkeepers, vendors, nearest marketplace to use digital mode maximum possible. Then we have Vidwan portal. So what is Vidwan portal? What is the meaning of Vidwan? Vidwan means someone who is a very intelligent, like Socrates. So Vidwan portal is nothing but Vidwan portal is a database. Fine. So it will be a database like we have database of Facebook, we have Instagram. So there will be a separate database where all the profiles of the scientists, researchers, and other faculty members working at the leading academic institutions will be there. Fine. For example, say you have to do a research you want to do a research on biotechnology. Then you will go to the Vidwan portal. You will find who is the professor who has done some kind of research in biotechnology. Then there will be a provision by which you can contact them. You can have a kind of interface with them. Then we have digital infrastructure for knowledge sharing portal. So see Diksha. So by name it is clear. So what is the meaning of Diksha? Diksha means giving education and digital infrastructure. So digital infrastructure will be there for knowledge sharing. Now who will share this knowledge? Teachers will basically share the knowledge. Fine. So you have seen that there is a lot of difference among the students from different schools. So you'll find that someone who is in a very class school is so much advanced, his knowledge is something different, and someone who is in rural school, he is not in a very good school, his knowledge will be different. So basically the teachers, they should have the provision to draw some kind of resources, some kind of content, so that they can give best to the quality to the student. And so this portal has been made, and this is basically for the teachers, and the target is to enable, accelerate, amplify solution in the realm of teacher education. It will assist and aid to the teachers to learn and train themselves. So this is what is important. They will train themselves from this digital content by using the resources, and the resources will be like training content will be there, then in class resources, assessment ads, news and announcement, and also the teachers can connect with each other by using this Diksha. We have Isan Uday scholarship scheme. So this is a scholarship scheme, and this scholarship scheme will be available only to the people who are in Northeast region. And the people from Northeast region, they suffer a lot of discrimination. In COVID-19, you have seen that the people from Northeast, they are suffering a lot of discrimination. Fine, the people are calling them Chinese and all. So the government has now started a lot of initiatives to bring the people from Northeast at par with the other society. And so this scholarship is to get higher education to the people, to the students in the Northeast region. And the scheme has 10,000 slots for a scholarship every year, and it will be monitored by University Grant Commission. Then we have Shala Asmita. Let us see the full form. All schools monitoring individual tracing analysis Yojana. So this is nothing but this is a scheme. This is an initiative in which our entire journey of a school, right from class 1 to 12, will be tracked by online portal. Fine. For example, say there is a person called Rohit, and Rohit is in school A when he was up to class 6. Then he go to school B, then school C. Then his entire performance, what was his result in class 1, what was his result in class 6, what was his result in class 8, that entire journey will be tracked through this portal Shala Asmita. Fine. It will carry information about the student attendance, enrollment, midday meal service, learning outcome, among other things, on one platform, and it will be applicable for both government and private schools, and the students will be tracked through their Aadhaar card. That means, say a student come to you to get any kind of admission, and then you can, by using his Aadhaar card, you can see his entire history, what exactly was his history in attendance, performance, results, sports, and all. So this scheme is a very popular scheme, National Academic Depository. So this is a kind of one-stop solution, one-stop deposit in which a storehouse, it's a kind of digital locker in which you can deposit all your academic awards, certificates, diploma, degrees, mark sheet, and all. And so that when you switch your college, for example, when you go to from 12 to graduation, or from graduation to post graduation, then your entire degree can be accessed by authentic people, so that there should not be any kind of forgery and misuse of certificates. So that's all up to today. I hope you all enjoyed the class. So I have covered almost all the schemes which are relevant in the case of Ministry of HRD for Education. So I wish, depending on the response, I will make other videos, other government schemes and all. So till then, you can join this Telegram channel. This is the name of my Telegram channel. And apart from this, you can also contact me on WhatsApp and all. So that's all till today. We'll see you again. Thank you.